Okay, so today is CSA day, and between my harvest that I'm getting from my garden and the CSA, I have a lot of processing to do. Let me show you. Okay, so these are the ground cherries that came from my garden. These came from the CSA. These are from the CSA. These are from my garden. These are from the garden and the CSA. And then these are herbs. So I always asked for extra herbs. And then they gave me a bunch of greens, I think. I asked for those as well so that I can make some powdered greens. And then I've got corn. And I'm telling you what, that fermented corn that I made last week, I'm going to make that again because it was absolutely delicious. So I got some peppers, some tomatoes, carrots, and some green beans and potatoes in there from the CSA. And I wanted to show you what I do. I usually have two choices. So I either use the dehydrator and dry my herbs, or I hang them. And I have a place in my laundry room. I'll show you after we're done how I do that. Okay, so let me show you what I'm doing here. Okay, so I take the basil and I just bring these ends together. And typically I like to hang these because it takes so long for them to dehydrate. It takes a couple cycles because they're so thick. Yeah, I usually put about 4 pieces. And then I take a rubber band, so just a rubber band, and I just twist it like I would do like a ponytail or whatever. And I like the rubber band because as the herbs dry, the stem will shrink up a bit and the rubber band will hold on to that. So then I take an old, well, it's not old, but I take a clothespin, and in this little piece that I haven't tied off yet, I just stick that up through there, and then I have a place to clip it. I could just clip it on the line, and it hangs just like that. Okay, let me show you that again. And I did wash all of these, all of this off because you just never know. I mean, I get everything from an organic farmer, so there's probably bugs, but I love this salad spinner. I always use a salad spinner, and a friend of mine just gave me this salad spinner, which I love. And I'll show you how I do that. Okay, again, here's the rubber band, and there we go. Okay, then I'll just hang that on the line and it will dry. And extra basil. So I'm going to do the peppermint now. Okay, so I've got a bunch of peppermint. Okay, I don't know if this is peppermint or spearmint, but and then I usually, sometimes I'll put just like a little splash of vinegar, but these are pretty, when they're first coming out of the garden, I sometimes will put a little bit of vinegar, and that kind of makes the, if there's any bugs in there or anything, it kind of makes the bugs go away. So I usually let this just sit for a little bit so that anything that's gross will come to the top. Okay, so that's set in there for a bit, and if you look at that, look at all that. I don't know if you can tell, but there's dirt and stuff, so. Okay. And then this is just super cool. Just looking to see if there's anything else that kind of. Now, I will probably, and then you just push this. And it spins out all the water. Let's see. I think I'm going to put these in the dehydrator. Whoops. Move this over here. Just pulled out my sourdough bread. And I'll show that to you in just a minute. Okay. I just put all that, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. There we go. I apologize for the mess over here, but it is a processing day, so it's just gonna be a bit messy. I'm having a friend over for dinner tonight, so that's going to be fun. Okay. And I don't like to, I don't want to make it too full. So there's one level. And then just keep going. That one doesn't look very good. And this is one of the best kitchen tools ever, because if these are too big, you can just, some of these don't look good. But they smell good, so just cut the ones off that still look pretty good. Good. This one looks really good. Okay. And I really need to get my compost back in order. Kind of done its own thing. I've been concentrating more on my garden, and not so much on the compost. And I really need to figure out what I'm going to do. I have a couple different ideas, and I'll probably bring you along for those as well once I decide what I'm going to do. Okay, let's go ahead and throw these. So if you have a compost, throw that in your compost. Unfortunately, I do not right at the moment. I mean, I've got a pile, but it's not. I have a pile of stuff is what I have. Okay, so the next batch And the parsley is mixed in with carrot greens. And I can tell the parsley from the carrot greens. And I'll show you how. So if you look at here. Okay. I don't know if you can see this. These are the carrot greens. The leaves are different. Oops, there's a little bug right there. See, that's why I wash everything off. And then if you look at the leaves of the parsley, they're very different. Okay, I hope you can see that on there. Okay, so, and I want to keep the carrot greens because I make pesto, green powder. Hi, we're back again. While the parsley is soaking, I don't make a lot of basil pesto, honestly. I use a lot of the greens, so radish greens, carrot top greens, arugula, because I don't like the taste of arugula, but I like it and I don't mind it in pesto. So I use my pesto recipe, but I put greens in it, so different mixed greens, and usually it's about 3 cups of mixed greens. Actually, I'll tell you what the recipe is. Pesto. My pesto recipe. I use 3 cups of greens. So like kale, I can use kale, carrot greens, arugula, radish greens, or I can use basil if I want to. So 3 cups of greens. And then depending on how much garlic you like in your pesto, I usually use 3 to 6 cloves. About 1.5 cups of Parmesan, and I do all Parmesan cheese, and I do this in my Cuisinart, so I just put the chunks of Parmesan in it and it shreds them. And then I use walnuts instead of pine nuts because they're just more cost effective, and I like the taste of the walnuts. So I use 1.5 cups of walnuts, and then about a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons, depending on how salty you like it. So I'll usually add about a teaspoon of the sea salt or the pink Himalayan salt, and then 3/4 to 1 cup of olive oil. And I usually add 3/4 of a cup and blend it, and then taste it. And I see if the salt's where I want it, and if the salt's not, after I've added that first teaspoon, I'll add however much I think it needs. And then with the olive oil, if it's not thin, if it's too thick, then I'll just add some of the remaining 1/4 cup until it gets to the consistency that I like. And I typically make 3 to 6 batches, and I freeze. I keep one batch out, and then I use the quart freezer bags, and I will freeze them. Actually, I probably have one in the freezer right now. Sure do. Actually, this one is actually spinach pesto. So this is, and I lay them flat right on top of each other. Yeah, so this was from spring, and I made spinach pesto. So it's already made. All I need to do is throw it in the refrigerator the night before I need it, and it will be thawed by then. Okay, and let me show you my sourdough that I just pulled out. So I don't have, see, I don't have a cast iron Dutch oven, so it doesn't turn out looking like most people's sourdough, but I'm okay with that because it tastes delicious. And I typically use 3 1/3 cup of flour, so organic almond flour. I use a mixture of almond flour, coconut flour, sometimes rice flour if I'm trying to get rid of something. But so 3 1/3 cup of flour. Usually 2 cups of that are the whole wheat organic pastry flour, bread flour that I get from Azure Standard. And then I mix in the other flours to make it higher in protein usually. And then, so that's 3 1/3 cup of flour and 2 1/3 cup of the sourdough starch that's been fed and has risen. And then about a cup to a cup and a half of water, filtered water, and about a tablespoon of Himalayan sea salt. And then you're not supposed to do this, but I do it. I put it in my KitchenAid mixer with the dough hook until it's combined. And then I will throw it on I'll put some flour on one of my cutting boards, and I'll just kind of make it so that it's smooth. And then I put it in a pie pan, a parchment lined pie pan, and then I cook it for 40 minutes. 40 minutes on 400. And I check the internal temperature to make sure that's about 200 when I pull that out. So, okay, we're ready for the parsley. Let's do this. Okay, so parsley. Let's go ahead and get these. And I usually just kind of make it look like a wreath in the way that I lay it out, because the stems, or sometimes I'll just cut the stems like that, because the stems are going to take longer to dry. One of the things I've been thinking about with regards to my compost issue. So I'm looking into vermicomposting, which is, you don't need to watch me doing this. Hi. Okay, so as I'm doing this, I'll talk to you here. Okay, so one of the things that I'm thinking about, I've been looking at the vermicomposting, which is the worm composting, worm compost. So most of the amendment that I put in my garden, in my raised, oops, hold on just a second, I got somebody at my door. Okay, so it's a little bit later. I had a friend who stopped by, and so anyway, I'm going to grab the basil that we did and show where I'm going to hang it. Okay. So this is my laundry room, and it's the best place that I have right now to hang my herbs. But I have also, so I've got parsley, I've got my cilantro, coriander seeds. I think that is, I think that's dill, and basil, and then more coriander. So I'm actually going to move these down a little bit because they're drying pretty well. Over there. And then let's hang these up. There we go. I know it's kind of a mess in here, but that's how, it's nobody else is going to see this but you guys. So anyway, so there's, I'll probably harvest this basil. I wanted to get the seeds. I don't know if you could see that. That was why I was wanting to save those seeds. And the same with this. This is not completely dry yet. But these are looking like, look at those seeds. So, yeah, so it's looking good. Okay, I am going to finish up for today.